Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to How Did They Do That Live? This is our February edition, and our topic today is social emotional learning. And we're going to hear from quite a few teachers on how they check in with their students, make sure their students are doing well. So I'm excited for our presentation today. Here's our agenda for roughly the next hour or so. There are some housekeeping items that I would like to go over with everybody. And then we'll hear from Stefanie Hoffman, a K-6 teacher, how she does some social emotional work with her students. Then we'll hear from Taya Matthews, a 912 teacher, and Danette Sozek, a 912 teacher. And then to kind of wrap up our presentation today, Matthew Ketchum, our resident director of educational technology, is going to come on, and he's going to share some resources that you can take away and start using with your students as well. And then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. Just a couple housekeeping items. This webinar does count towards the 0.5%. So the next hour you spend with us will count towards those hours. If you've already achieved those hours, we're still happy to have you. And just as a reminder, this is a live event. So if you're not sure how to use your camera or what's going on with that, there is no camera function for this. So you get to just sit back and relax. However, we do anticipate and expect questions. So if you have any questions, you should see a little Q&A icon at the very top. You can click on that and you can post those questions. And our lovely moderators and presenters will reply to you as they are able to. And if it's a particularly good question or it's something we think we should share with the whole audience, we'll make sure to publish those so everybody can see them. Up first, we have Stefanie Hoffman. So Stefanie, if you would like to go ahead and go, take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I hope I'm able to help you guys. Maybe you're doing some of the things I'm already doing in my classroom, and that's awesome. Keep it up. I know this year has been super difficult, but we're trying our best. So next slide, please. I'm sure you guys have had a long day, maybe a long year like me. So I just wanted to invite you to take 3 deep breaths with me. So when the ball, it stopped moving. There we go. Okay, so when it slides down, you're going to exhale. And when it goes up, you're inhaling with your stomach. You can put your hand on your stomach and feel it expand. Let's go ahead and take 3 now. I just invite you to think about how your body might be feeling. Maybe your arms are more relaxed, your shoulder. Just notice how you're feeling your body. This is something I do with my kindergarten students, and we do this throughout the day. These are online. You can Google search them, and there's different ones. You can keep it interesting. There's also, I'll get later on in the presentation, I'll mention Go Noodle, and there's some resources there for breathing. So this is just something to help recharge them, reset, refocus, just relax, kind of keep our positive energy up. Next slide. Okay, so social emotional learning is a belief that helps students of all ages better comprehend their emotions. They're able to really fully understand those emotions and demonstrate empathy for others. So once they learn these behaviors, they're able to make more responsible decisions, create frameworks to achieve their goals, and really build positive relationships with others. And those are things that we want our students to take outside of the classroom, not just in the classroom. We want to see them doing those things in society. So it's really beneficial all around. Today, our world is super diverse, and for a lot of our students, the classroom is the first place where students are exposed to these different backgrounds, different ideas. And so it's important to teach them these skills and show them how to connect with one another, and then manage and problem solve and figure out those frustrations that maybe they're having or through disagreeing. So it's great to just implement these strategies that we're going to talk about. It helps to level the playing field and really gives students just like add to their toolbox to really develop and understand their emotions on a deeper level. So I really like this quote by Dr. James Comer. He shared that no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. From this, we can't really help our students fully learn deep, meaningful content without understanding who they are first. We need to make that connection. We need to find out. You know, every year your class is so different than the year before. You have to figure out what they're interested in, what keeps their attention, what they like to do in their free time. Find those connections between your different students, pull it together to get the content that really allows you to pull in those real world examples and develop relationships that are meaningful. Your students feel that you care, you're learning about what they like to do. So that is something that I really hold dear to my heart, that concept. And so with that, we need to temporarily, in the beginning of the year, whenever we're starting, hold off on the content. I know we get super excited on if maybe you're a higher grade level teacher and there's a subject that you're just so passionate about, but we need to temporarily suspend that so that we can focus on building that connection and really making more meaningful relationships to guide us throughout the year. So SEL ultimately puts the connection to the student before the learning itself. Next slide. Every day when my kiddos come in, this is just a quick little fun way to get to know them and see what they would prefer, and they get to hear their students share out. So I try to give them some visuals, and so they can see what they need to do. They're going to touch their nose if they'd rather go to space. They're going to clap their hands if they'd rather explore the ocean, and if they don't want to do either, they would touch their shoulders. So the motions stay the same every day, so they can get a little bit quicker and recognize, and that's not too different, but the question changes every day, and they know what to expect. And so when they log in, they see this question, and they're thinking about what they would prefer, and they love listening to their friends. And this is another way to just build that community, since we are distance learners and we have some in person, some at home. And so we usually take tallies and figure out how many would prefer one or the other. Next slide. In the morning when they come in, we also do a daily check-in. And there are lots of resources for free. So if you're a part of a group on Facebook, I think it's like Bitmoji Craze for educators. There's a lot on TPT for free. So it's not really, I know we already have so much on our plate, and there's awesome teachers who have already created this content that just helps us like start putting it in our routine. So this is one where the students will use their whiteboard. We just have, it's just a slip cover with a white piece of cardstock, and they normally will write down the number. I don't have them send this through the chat or anything because I want it to be private so that I can record it. And I normally will write this on my attendance sheet. So usually if they're happy or feeling excited or proud, I don't necessarily record those. But if a student were to put down a 3 or a 2, a 3 or a 5, I would note that on my attendance sheet, and then I would later talk to them in the day and just kind of help them a little bit, and then I have a history to show parents when I meet with them for conferences. So this has been really helpful, especially this year, figuring out just how they're feeling and how they're coming to school, knowing where they're starting off, where their head is at. So yeah, next slide. And then this is something I start in the beginning of the year, just feelings and emotions. So we like to talk about each emotion, go over all of them generally, and then I like to do one at a time. And we like to talk about what they are, who has feelings. So we talk about how our parents have them, our grandparents, strangers, our friends, we all have them. And sometimes we might be feeling 2 emotions at the same time. That's, for me in kindergarten, that's a new concept for a lot of my students, to think about feeling maybe excited but nervous at the same time. So we do like to explore those. And so next slide, please. So with that, we do one at a time, and then we reflect on a way, and I have some friends that are comfortable sharing. I never require all students verbally share, just in case it's maybe a sad feeling or an anxious feeling, just so that they know that it's more private, but it's reflective in nature. And I always model this. I give them an example of something, an emotion and an experience that I've had. And then I do take volunteers. Older kids might be okay to go to breakout rooms if they're comfortable talking about these. That's up to your discretion. You know your students. Next slide. And then after each feeling, we talk about them. I have this activity where I show a picture of a real person, so it's not really a cartoon, so they can see these expressions that happen in everyday life, and then they have to try to match the correct emotion. And this happens after we've gone over each emotion in depth, and then we just apply what we know. Last year when we were in person, it was easier for me to do Kahoot with my kiddos, but helping them with the access code this year has been different. So it is possible, and it's a great activity. For me, I've just been using PowerPoint. Next slide. So this is an example of something I would show them. So we would look at this picture and we would think about it, and we would look at what she's doing. Does she look happy? No. Is she calm? I don't think she looks calm. And then we would all write the number on our whiteboard, and then we would have some friends explain like their rationale. Why did they think this? And we do this, and I just get random pictures. It's really fun. They like to try to figure it out. It's kind of a mystery for them. Next slide. These are a couple free resources that I found. The Lego Spot It is a really fun game. So it's the little pictures, the circles, and you can cut them out and make cards. So this is something if you wanted to help families really bring in that connection where they're talking about emotions and matching facial expressions. It's sad to think that some of our students do come to school from backgrounds where we're giving them the first exposure to learning about social and emotional skills and feelings and what they look like. So this is a great game. It's printable, it's free, and they cut it out, and each card has a match. And so you have to look at the 4 Lego heads that you have, look at the one that's in the middle of the pile, and find a match and say that emotion or that face, straight face, frowny face, happy face. So that's really cool. And there's also an I Spy little Lego search. So that one was fun. I thought that would be, that's fun to do. I've done it already, but I thought you guys might enjoy the resource, so I put those links up there. And then next slide, please. So my kids are anxious sometimes, sitting at the computer for so long. They're antsy. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Go Noodle. You love it. I know I love it. The kids are excited to do it. It's also like a reward for them. They've been working hard. So if you go specifically to Go Noodle, and then in the search categories, there's SEL and Mindfulness. You can pick your subcategories. And this is where I mentioned in the very beginning, there are different breathing activities. There's ones to help them get their day off. We do this throughout the day. So sometimes we'll do some breathing in the morning, or we'll do a breathing activity like the one I did with you guys. Sometimes we just use our imagination and we call it birthday breath, where we take a breath in and we try to blow out a bunch of candles. So there's just a variety. The thing that I take from this is that it has to be integrated throughout the day. It can't be, oh, we did one breathing activity in the morning or one in the afternoon before they went home. It needs to be something where kids are starting to recognize, hey, this is a strategy. Breathing, relaxing, going somewhere quiet is something I can do when I'm feeling nervous, when I'm feeling stressed out, when I'm feeling sad. This is something that will help me regulate my emotions and what I'm feeling. So that's something that I integrate throughout my day. Next slide. And on YouTube also, there's a lot of great resources. A few of my favorites that my class really enjoy, it targets self-control. It's the Floor is Lava and Freeze Dance. So this might be appropriate. I'm maybe up to 2nd grade. 3rd grade, you could try it, but they have to all of a sudden stop. And it really helps them learn that self-control skill, which is super important for SEL. And then I also like the Cosmic Kids Yoga. I think it's so fun to see the different characters that they integrate into it. So we just did a Trolls one the other day where the lady leading the session of yoga was dressed as a troll, and it was really fun for the kiddos. So it's relevant to them, and it's a great way to teach them to relax. They're active, they're learning to relax, take deep breaths. So it's just fun, and if you want to mix it up from Go Noodle. Next slide. Growth mindset is something that's really big in our class. I was getting a lot of, my first year of teaching, I was getting a lot of students who were saying they couldn't do something. And I really wanted to figure out how I could help them feel like they were capable, because I saw it and I wanted them to see their potential also. So growth mindset is just the belief that you can learn anything with practice, hard work, and effort. And so it's important for us to help our students have that, so that when we give them a task that has some challenge to it, they're willing to really put forth their best effort, regardless if they're going to fail or not. So it's important to do this, and then they're less likely to worry about looking smart. So when the next slide, you'll see that I have some examples of a fixed mindset where that really kind of doesn't help our student progress, because they're so fearful of looking dumb or that they don't know something, that they don't put themselves in those situations where they can really learn through the experience. So what I found on YouTube is there's the Sesame Street SEL. If you search that, there is a lot of great little videos that talk about growth mindset and little skits and songs. And even for, I would say, up to second grade, maybe third grade, they have people like Bruno Mars singing songs. So it's not super kiddish. It's a little bit more pop and relevant. Next slide. So these are just some examples of having a fixed versus a growth mindset. And so fixed mindset people often think like, oh, you're just born smart. You were born to be good at math. You're natural. And so a growth mindset kind of implements that anyone can be good at math as long as you're trying hard, you're putting in that continuous effort. So those are just, if you want to take a minute to look that over, just some examples. Okay, next slide. And with the growth mindset comes the belief of the power of yet. So how I mentioned earlier, how we get those students who really just say, I'm not good at that, I can't do that. So just adding that simple word, yet. Change their mindset. I'm not good at math too, I'm not good at math yet. I can't ride my bike without training wheels. I can't ride it without training wheels yet. And so it teaches them that skills are acquired over time with effort and practice. It's not just an innate ability. And so it does take some energy. And then also, I've learned that it's important to not rely on the word smart, because children start believing that smart is something they either have or they don't have. So I really like to praise the effort and the process and how much energy and hard work they're putting in. Next slide. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. That was great. I really enjoyed that you had us open up with a breathing exercise and kind of had us all check in with ourselves. I think that's a good practice, not just for kiddos, but for everybody. And then ending on the growth mindset, I think, is really powerful. I do see a question that popped in. Yes, you'll be getting a copy of these slides. I'll send them out tomorrow morning. So if you feel like you missed something, you will get this tomorrow morning after I take attendance.